The Central Line, one of London's 11 iconic underground lines, is one of the busiest and most used transit lines in the UK, and today I'll be making a suggestion video on it. Before we get into this video, I'm gonna ask all of you to like the video and the DTG forum suggestion if you agree, and subscribe to the channel for more content. Also, become a channel member with the link in the description if you would like to support me further. Let's get into it. The Central Line, with 49 stations running over 46 miles, is one of the 7 deep-level tube lines in the London Underground system. It runs between West Ruislip in the west and Epping in the northeast. It also has a branch line to Ealing Broadway in the west and a loop line in the east, which select trains run along. It is one of the 2 underground lines that crosses the Greater London border, with the other line being the Metropolitan. The line is the second busiest line on the whole of the Underground, with over 280 million journeys counted between 2016 and 2017. It also runs the second most frequent service along the whole network, with 34 to 35 trains per hour operating for about a half hour in the westbound direction during the morning peak. It's also the only tube line to run east and west through the central core of London. It runs multiple types of services, which would lead to a nice variety of things for players to do. 3 trains per hour between Northolt and Loughton, 3 trains per hour between Hainault and Woodford, which surprisingly runs 4-car trains, 6 trains per hour between Ealing Broadway and Hainault, 3 trains per hour between Ealing Broadway and Newbury Park, and 3 trains per hour between White City and Hainault. All of these services combine to give the Central Line a frequency of 24 trains per hour each way during off-peak hours, or a train every 2.5 minutes. The Central Line is one of the 5 tube lines, which operate late-night services. This service is called the Night Tube, and is only available on Friday and Saturday nights. Between 1 AM and 5 AM on these days, the Central Line runs a reduced timetable, running only 3 trains between Ealing Broadway and Hainault, and 3 trains per hour between White City and Loughton. All of these services would help keep the route feeling new to the player, and it will prevent it from feeling too repetitive. Now, something that can be included with this route is the London Underground, Waterloo and City line. This is the shortest underground line in the whole system, with it consisting of only 2 stations running between Waterloo and Bank. It has no intermediate stations and no connections with the other tube lines. The line has 1 depot, however it is only used for routine maintenance. When a train requires heavy maintenance, the trains are brought to the depot just outside of the Waterloo station, and they are lifted out of the tunnel and onto a truck, which takes the train to one of the depots that is equipped for the heavy maintenance the train requires. During the current pandemic, the line was suspended due to low ridership, and because TfL wanted to prioritize the use of train operators on the much busier Central Line. The line reopened in June of this year, however only as a peak hour only service during weekdays. Obviously, I would want DTG to model this line in its pre-pandemic state to allow for full day service. Now, both of these lines could appear with two different timetables. I'm going to start with talking about the timetables for the Central Line, as that is the more important of the two lines. The first timetable we will talk about is the modern day timetable, including only the 1992 stock currently in use on the line. The 92 stock, constructed between 1991 and 1994 by ABB and Brell, are the only trains in service on the Central Line. They were built to replace the 1962 tube stock, which formerly operated along the line. These trains are fitted with ATO and ATP, or automatic train operation and automatic train protection, which allows the computer on board the train to drive it automatically. Now, before you start writing your comments saying, well, this route isn't going to be fun since the train is operating itself, I want to tell you that there is a way to operate the train without ATO. There is a mode called Coded Manual where ATO is disabled and you are able to operate the train manually with the supervision of ATP, which sends upcoming and current speed limits to the computer in the cab, allowing you to stick to the target speed. And now for the other timetable. It would be set in the past, around the early 90s when the 92 stock was just being phased in. This would allow for the route to see both the 1962 and 1992 stocks. The 1962 stock, built in 1962 by Metro Camel, were similar to the trains built before them, the 1959 stock. They ran on the Central Line between 1962 and 1995, when some of them were transferred to the Northern Line until their retirement in 1999. I assume that since these trains were operating along the Central Line with the 92 stock for a few years, and with these trains not having the same ATO and ATP system as the 92 stock, the 92 stock were being operated manually during this time. This would give the line a lot more gameplay with multiple types of rolling stock and with the ability to operate the newer trains manually. Moving on to the Waterloo and City Line, it can also have two timetables. The first one being the modern day timetable. The rolling stock featured in this timetable will be the 1992 stock, also known as the Class 482, since they were originally owned by British Rail before they were transferred over to the Underground. They share many similarities with the actual 1992 stock found on the Central Line, with the only differences being that these trains are operated manually, with tripcocks instead of the ATO and ATP systems, and the fact that they are only 2 cars long, with 2 units being coupled together for service along the line. The other timetable, or the 90s timetable, would see both the Class 482 and 487 rolling stock running along the line. The Class 487, built in between 1938 and 1940 by English Electric, were seen in use on the Waterloo and City Line throughout their whole life. They were branded in Network Southeast livery along with the Class 482 due to the line being owned by them until 1994 when the line was transferred over to TfL. The livery on the Class 482s wasn't changed to the Underground's livery until 2006 when the units were overhauled. Overall, this would be a great large route to have in TSW. It would include both the Central and Waterloo and City lines, which the player can transfer between at the bank station, and it would allow for some interesting services and a lot of playability. If you enjoyed this video and you would like to see the Central and Waterloo and City lines in Train Sim World 2, like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content. Also, don't forget to become a channel member if you would like to support the channel even further. Peace.